We're going to start our last video on moral development, and we're going to look at the last three stages, and these are going to be higher level stages. So you want to make sure you have your note packets out using pages 7 to 9, follow along with, and pause when you have to. Highlight your notes if you have to along the way and jot down some questions that you have and we can ask during class. I'm going to try to move through this in under 15 minutes. Let me set the timer here and we'll try to keep up. Okay. So remember when we were talking about all of Kohlberg's stages, the motive matters when deciding what level of moral reasoning somebody is using. Why did they do what they decided to do? Okay. So we left off with conventional morality and we finished up stage 3 last time. And we're moving on to stage 4 this time. And this is a level that most people don't actually get to, even though it's a level that the framers of the Constitution hoped we would get to, and that's why they thought it very important to have mandatory education. But a stage 4 thinker is motivated by maintaining social order. It's considered the social order approach. It is considered the perspective of we, not us at stage 3, but we as in we the people. It's kind of the beginning of the Constitution, and it's how the framers of the Constitution felt that if we all work together, not just our friends and family, but as a community and as a society, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare to secure the blessings of liberty. We the people, we owe a debt to other people, not just our friends. So rules of society is prized. Is it legal to do something? That is the question we might ask ourselves when determining a moral choice to make. So the scales of justice are important here. And our reasoning when we're resolving a moral dilemma is based on consideration for social order or for others. What are our obligations? Duty and honor and integrity, and following the law. This is important for a stage 4 thinker, not because we're going to get in trouble, but because it's the right thing to do for more people. So we kind of see ourselves as a part of a larger community, and we want to help society run more smoothly. So it's based on, am I doing the right thing legally? So if we look at an example, suppose you promise to help an elderly neighbor carry some heavy boxes up from their basement, and you can put them at the curb for garbage pickup, but you later decide to go to the movies instead with your friends. Is this an example of Kohlberg stage 4 thinking? You should think to yourself, maybe pause for 10 seconds here, why or why not? If you can do that, you probably have a pretty good grasp. I'm not going to pause here, so if you pause, welcome back. No, this is not a stage 4 example. Why not? You should notice that your motives to go out with your friends more resemble stage 2, self-interest. You want to have fun. Or possibly stage 3, you want to have approval from your friends. We don't know which one is correct for you. We'd have to know what your purpose and motive was, because motive matters. How about this example? Following the speed limit, even though your friends want you to go faster, it's just, no, I'm not going to speed. It's the right thing to do. And you feel that keeping people safe in your car and on the road is an obligation. You're not worried about getting a ticket. You just think it's the right thing to do. Is this stage 4 thinking? Yes, it is stage 4 thinking because you're thinking about your responsibility to others. So legal, is it legal? If you need to review, go back to your notes and take a look, or you can rewind. Be kind and rewind if you need to look at it again. But we're moving on to stage 5 now, level 3. This is pretty heady stuff. This is your graduate school lesson for the day, so you may have to watch this twice or read through your notes. Be patient. Kohlberg said it's very difficult for people to think or understand moral reasoning that's 2 stages above their own thinking. So for people who are stage 2 or stage 3 thinkers, this may be difficult to think about and reason at a stage 5. or 6, but I will not test you on stage 6. It is very complex and abstract, but I will test you on stage 5, and we'll talk about stage 6 a little bit. So stage 5 is considered the human rights and social contract orientation or focus, and it's a commitment to your personal conscience of doing the right thing. And right, with great power comes great responsibility, and a stage 5 thinker feels great responsibility to doing the right thing. So rules and laws are good, they're social agreements, they're necessary, but they can be changed when rightness demands it. So it's possible that unequal treatment is the more fair thing to do in this case at stage 5. So giving people special consideration might be the more moral thing to do. So think about equity here. We talked about that earlier. Equity versus equality, and equality isn't always the fairest thing to do. And that's difficult for some people to understand because they're a stage 3 thinker or lower. So a stage 5 thinker reasons on the basis of common good. What would we want the people of a democratic society to do in this situation? What would be the right thing to do? So this is social responsibility here. And some of the terms or concepts here, stage 5 thinkers believe that some rights are so fundamental that no society or law can deny them. So these are called inalienable rights, like life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't guarantee you that you will be happy. It guarantees you that you have the right to pursue happiness as long as you don't infringe upon the rights of others to do so. And things like a trial by jury, healthcare, education, dignity as a human being. You might want to try to think of something else to stretch your cognitive abilities. These are all called inalienable rights. The government should not legally be able to take them away. And it also allows for unequal treatment to make up for past injustices, for bad laws that we had in the past. So equity thinking might be this. So basically, if you said, okay, we're going to make a whole new society and we want to start from scratch, what type of thinking would we want everybody to be able to use to build into the society so it was the most fair society that we could have? And this would be called society creating thinking. So a society where everybody's treated justly and righteously, I guess. So rights are not gifts from the government that can be taken away at a whim. They are embedded in us before the government gets there, and the government's job is to protect those rights. And I really like this poster, and you might want to pause it, or at the end pause it, because I'll enlarge this and see what you think about some of these rights in this poster. And it says you have the responsibility to respect the rights of others, and no one should be able to take away your rights, whether that be based on religion or race or gender, sexual identity, LGBTQ rights, etc. So remember also at stage 4, it's legal if people vote in a law that could actually hinder the rights of other people. It may even be harmful to a minority group somehow. And it has happened in the past. We know a lot of civil rights were abridged in the past by legal vote. But it might be at stage 4, the law, but at stage 5, a stage 5 thinker can justifiably break a law if that law is unjust. Now, they would accept the consequences of having to go to jail for that. I broke this law to bring attention to its unjustness, and I will accept the consequences that the law says I should have. Now, think Martin Luther King Jr. Breaking or violating laws that violated civil rights, sitting at a lunch counter for whites only. Think Rosa Parks. They did violate laws, and they did get arrested, and they did get punished or fined for that. At stage 5, you could not vote for a law if you were a politician that helps some but hurts others. The principles of justice here are called universal, or universality, that justice should apply to everybody. And we have to display impartiality. We can't favor some when we vote for a tax law that benefits a few people and hurts others. We have to respect the dignity of all individuals. We are all important equally, not based on what we look like or where we're from or how much money our parents made or how much education somebody has. So you might want to look at this. It's pretty interesting. There's some interesting examples in here. So stage 5 examples. Nazi Germany, 1930s. Were there any stage 5 thinking examples there where human dignity and rights were placed above the law? Well, it was law that people must turn in anyone of the Jewish faith to authorities in the 1930s and after 1933. And many people considered this law unjust. While some followed the law, there were a minority that actually helped Jewish families flee the country, or they hid Jewish families in their own home. And this was against the law, but it was justifiable to a stage 5 thinker because of the unjustness and the harshness of that law. And there's a picture, of course, of a very famous person, Anne Frank, and it says how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. And improving the world one person at a time, that's Anne Frank, right? That's Gandhi, that's Martin Luther King. Now, suppose your friend has been engaging, here's an example, perhaps, of stage 5 thinking, in dangerous behavior, drinking behavior. You're both 22, and they've been driving under the influence a lot. You try to get them to Uber home from a party instead of driving while intoxicated. They get in their car to drive, but you call the police because you can't, in good conscience, let them possibly hurt themselves or others. And it's that good conscience that drives your risk of losing friends. So it's an example of stage 5 thinking because of your willingness to risk your friendship for the greater safety of your friend and other people that you don't even know who might be on the road and could cause horrible accidents. So it's difficult to understand stage 5 thinking. They're often misinterpreted. Most people don't get here. It does take what some people consider bravery in order to stand up for your conscience. So it might be hard to think of an example of yourself when we try to finish page 10 and 11. Now, stage 6, we're going to talk about it briefly, but we won't require you to be tested on this. But if you notice down here in the corner, there's a term called veil of ignorance. And a veil is something you'd wear over your face. And it's an abstract thought, as if you were wearing a veil of ignorance. So you couldn't see who somebody is, and your decision was right for no matter who it is. And it says justice comes from making decisions that maximize liberty of all people without considering which outcome will give you the personal benefit. So masking yourself to their education, their wealth, their religion, their sexual orientation, their gender, their race, and you'd make the best decision for a person regardless of who they were. So it's considered the ethical principles approach. You accept the dignity and intrinsic worth of all people. You probably dedicate your life to overcoming some social injustice, and this is where these people are often considered dangerous or misunderstood. When making decisions, one doesn't consider any of these factors I already mentioned. You have to make a decision that's so righteously just that it would benefit anybody. So it's a universal ethical principle. The veil of ignorance must be used to make a decision that's so ethical. You have to blind yourself to self-interest also. So you can't personally benefit. Everybody must benefit. An example of this might be Malala, known for her human rights advocacy, especially of educating women and children. Malala in her native Pakistan was forbidden by the Taliban to attend school and learn to read. But Malala disregarded this law, feeling that everyone has a right to educate themselves, and she was shot by the Taliban for doing so. They attempted to assassinate her, but they were unsuccessful. She did survive and went on to win a Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts and her continued effort to educate females around the world, dedicating her life to social justice around the world. Might be considered a stage 5 thinker. 6 thinker, excuse me. So remember, what the person chooses to do is not as important as what they actually do. It's the motive that matters. We're going to stop there, and let's check Canvas for your assignment. Thanks.